Я втомилася почуватися винною, кажеш ти. У вас війна, а я живу у Швейцарії. Ну, ти ж розумієш? Різдвяний ярмарок десь у центрі Європи. Ми лущимо смажені каштани, на пальці хукаємо. Ніжний час адвенту. Хтось тоненько співає «Алелуя», хтось чекрижить омелу на порційні гілки, а декотрі смакують ковбаски. Але справді, червонієш ти аж до корінців волосся, так, ніби вечірнє сонце залило іржавим теплом сутінковий ліс.
So hello, Iryna Tsilyk. Very pleased to meet you, and I'll just you sum up who you are. You're a novelist. You also write poetry, and you've also written children's books. But and on top of that, you've made films, of which a number of short documentaries and fiction films, and you have also made a feature-length documentary, which won the best director award in the documentary section, foreign documentary section at Sundance, which is a super big deal, in 2020. Now, first, before we even start, I mean, how are you? I've heard from people that in Kiev, it's the sound of air raid sirens and generators that you hear, all the time in the city. And I also read your Facebook posts, which give a sort of understanding of what's going on and how you're feeling. But how are you anyway?
Hi, it's nice to see you, to meet all of you who are behind the camera. I mean, some potential viewers. And, when people ask me, how am I doing? I usually don't know what to answer, because I should say, well, I'm fine. And yes, mostly I'm fine. But at the same time, I live in such a bizarre reality right now, because I'm Ukrainian and I'm based in Kiev together with my teenager son, and my husband, who is well-known Ukrainian writer, is in the army now. And actually that is the second time during these years of war when he joined the army. And also so many friends of mine, so many colleagues of creative professions like filmmakers, writers, artists, etc. They took weapons in their arms, and the reality in Kiev is also quite bizarre, because we have this missile attacks from Russia, we have these blackouts from time to time, but at the same time we got used to this reality. I mean, we try to fight for the normality of our everyday life. And I'm looking around and I see many people who try to live fully, to give birth to new children, even to enjoy life, to have some cinema screenings, to have some presentations of new books, etc., because it's also important, I mean, to stay alive today.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I was going to come back to your film, which is called The Earth is as Blue as an Orange in English. And you spent about a year traveling between Kiev and Donbass, telling the story of the family in the war, filming about the war, telling us about the war themselves. And it all started, this adventure of yours, when you met a young woman at a film camp. So could you tell us a bit more about this meeting? And
yeah, at the very beginning, I actually considered to make some other film, because I took part in a very cool project. It was called Yellow Bus, and different professional Ukrainian filmmakers arranged cinema camps for children who live in the war zone. And I was the guest, then I was a tutor in one of the camps, and I was really impressed by this very special atmosphere, because I met many cool teenagers who were inspired by magic world of cinema, and at the same time they were not really interested about the background of war around them, because it's so routine, so boring for them. And you know, it looked really weird. And I was really impressed, because that was a moment when I immediately realized that cinema opens some doors for these children, and they have a possibility to dream about something else. And then I met two girls, sisters, in one of that camp, Miroslava and Nastya, and they invited me and my crew to their hometown, to their family. And when I met their mother and siblings, and when I saw this house full of cats and music and
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then and you met the mother and the grandmother.
Yeah,
But
the mother is fantastic. She's such a strong personality. She's a single mother of many children, and she
I
managed.
read that she's had another baby now.
Yes, now she's a mother of 5 children, and
There's-
that is
the
incredible.
men are not there. There are no men. The grandmother doesn't have a husband.
No, unfortunately, she is alone, but she's doing so well, trying to fulfill the lives of her children with many activities, with some joy. And also I was impressed because they were trying to shoot some short videos, some films about themselves in the war times. And that was impressive, because that was their way to be somehow active, to tell stories about themselves to other people. And it also helped me to understand that I want to share the experience of Ukrainian people who are not just passive victims of this war, but who are trying to be active and full of life.
The mother and her daughters give a lesson in how you can, perhaps a lesson in how you can survive the fear and the anger or whatever feelings you might have about the war. It's by making it in a way your own project, which is what they do, and doing something creative. I mean, I'm not saying that it makes everything better, but it is an option that they've chosen.
And actually, art could be therapeutic, yes, because it helps us to somehow reflect on everything what is happening to us and our friends and family. And you know, this experience of making this film was actually quite an important lesson for myself, because I was selfish and I was trying to find the answer for the question, what can I do as the artist in the times of war? And I also should confess that I changed my perspective on this film when the war came to my city a few years later. Because when I was shooting this family, I was just the observer. And I had a huge empathy to my characters, but every time I've been coming back to my peaceful Kiev, and that was completely different reality. And when the war came here, and when I found myself as a mother who is responsible for my son and who doesn't know how to protect himself, I understood that I put on the shoes of my character and I understand her much deeper now.
The mother or the daughter?
The mother, first of all, because I'm also the mother, and we are actually the same age women. We have completely different experiences and surroundings, but we became friends after this project. So we are...
Interrupt just to ask, what is her story? I mean, does she work there, or did she work, or does she have
you mean before? She had some jobs as a vet and also as a car mechanic. I'm not sure about the word in English. But then she became only the mother because she's a mother of so many children. So she got some help from the state. And at the moment, they left Ukraine. They moved to Vilnius in Lithuania.
Oh,
And
the whole
actually,
family.
Yeah, the whole family and even cats. And I'm really glad that we actually helped them to flee. I mean, the
Your,
team
your
of our
film,
film.
your film was
Ah?
a co-production with Lithuania.
Yes, with
Is it
Lithuanians.
that
We
you,
also became friends. I mean, all of us, the crew and characters, because when we are doing documentary films, it's more family business than business.
yes,
So yeah, we helped them to flee, and that was very clever decision because at the moment their small town Krasnohorivka is under constant fire, and it is almost destroyed now. And some of the locations that you've seen in the film, they don't exist anymore, and they miss home a lot. But unfortunately, they don't have a place to come back now. So we will see what will
so now
happen then.
how long have they been in Lithuania?
From the very beginning of Russia's full-scale invasion, so already 11 months.
And the children are going to school and everything?
Yeah, they are learning Lithuanian language, and that is also some kind of another challenge, how to integrate into some other community, some other world. But I should say that Lithuanians are so helpful and friendly people. So I'm really glad that they moved to Vilnius.
And the language in your film, because I can't really tell the difference, I'm afraid, between Russian, Lithuanian, and so on. Are they Russian speaking, this family?
That is an interesting issue because they are Russian speaking people, and they grew up in the east of Ukraine, which is mostly Russian speaking.
Yes.
But the last year changed a lot, and I was really surprised when my characters, my friends, they started to speak Ukrainian, and that is some kind of I don't know, important act for them, because they tried to be involved into all this Ukrainian movement and Ukrainian community more than before.
It seems to
And
be
I've never
widespread.
expected.
It seems to be quite a widespread phenomenon.
Yeah,
Russian
that's
speakers,
true. And actually, I am the one who also changed my language of speaking, but it happened before, already 13 years ago.
so what
So I
happened
know
with
many.
you? Explain your itinerary.
I grew up in a completely Russian-speaking surrounding community, but when I became a teenager and when I got knew more and more about Ukrainian history and culture and everything that happened to us during that times under Russian
Soviet
I mean,
times.
yeah, about all that post-colonial times, it impressed me so deeply that I started to ask myself, who am I and which way am I going? And actually, I changed the language of speaking when I became pregnant. So that was my attempt to give birth to a child who will be Ukrainian speaking from the very beginning.
And
I know.
your husband also?
Yeah, he's also the one who changed the language, but also many years ago. And I know many people like us, and especially the situation changed last year because, all these metamorphoses and circumstances, they influenced many people to change
What does that mean,
their attitude.
Iryna, what does that mean for your writing and your poetry?
As to me, poetry is one of the most magic tools
But did you
to
change language?
yeah, but I started to write poetry in Ukrainian many years ago, so I'm completely Ukrainian writing person, and writing is very important for me. I used to balance between these two passions, I mean filming and writing, but I believe in power of words, and also especially in such challenges times as now when everything changes so fast, poetry gives us some kind of a power to stop this here and now reality, to fix this moment. And then we have a chance to look back and to realize what had happened to us. So as to me, poetry is very special way to deal with our feelings today.
And where do people read your poetry? Because do you put it on Facebook?
Yeah, I posted
No.
on Facebook. I have few books, but in Ukrainian only, and I have different translations into English, German, many languages actually.
No, I was talking about the poetry because, of course, you are a published author who's been translated into many languages. But I was talking about the poetry you're writing now, during the war.
Yeah, but I mostly post it on Facebook,
Okay.
and also this Facebook writing also, you know, became quite important part of my life, because that is a way to communicate with many people, also foreigners who are interested in what is going on today with us Ukrainians, and I feel that it's quite important, not just, you know, just notes. It's something more, probably.
Yes, and poetry is, as you seem to be saying, a response of a more immediate response, a more visceral response to this kind of event, more than writing a narrative, maybe.
Yeah, maybe because I also feel that I made so many connections with people from other distant worlds. And usually these people from peaceful countries, they don't know much about what is happening with us today. But I feel that they are interested, because the situation also changed. And when I come to other countries, to present my films or my poems, I feel that many foreigners are really interested in who Ukrainians are and what is happening to us.
We know in the West a lot more about Ukrainian cinema writers now than before the war, of course. So we understand, we've become much more knowledgeable about your
And
country.
we also try to give you some kind of responses, because I know that we were not so active during last 30 years of independence to reveal, to introduce us to other people. So yeah, that is a time to build some bridges between us, probably.
I was going to ask you also, I mean, your film is a beautiful film. It's a very intelligent film, and it's a film within a film. I wanted to know what happened to the film that the family made about, is it one film or is it little bits of film, and what's happened to it? And are the girls still making films?
The film is doing well. I mean, the girls finished this short film, and they even applied it to different film festivals, and they even won some honor for this film, some award. So I was really glad, because that is the first work of Miroslava. And also she graduated from film school. She has a diploma of cinematographer now, and she's doing her first steps in the profession already in Vilnius. But I believe she will come back to Ukraine, and she will work for Ukrainian cinema as well. So, and Nastya, Anastasia, the other girl, she's also going to enter the film school, and she dreams to become a film director.
Yeah, so your influence has been, I'm sure, very positive. I read that you were working on a film, and I don't know if that's happening at all now, which is based on a novel about childhood written by your husband, who I think we haven't said what he's called. He's called Artem Czech. And
Czech, yes, that is his nickname from the childhood, and also his pseudo in literature. And yeah, the film is ready. It was even premiered last fall in Warsaw at the Warsaw Film Festival, and its title is Rock, Paper, Grenade, and there is a film based on the novel of Artem Chekh. And this is autobiographical story about his childhood and shaky 90s in post-Soviet Ukraine, and also about a very special friendship because when he was a boy, he had a friend who was a veteran of Afghan war, and this man, he was actually broken, he had PTSD, but at the same time he was very charismatic and bright personality. So you know, I was trying to make a film about times of our childhood, but at the same time I tried to speak about our present as well, because we have so many veterans again around us, and they influence a lot
Veterans who
people.
are sometimes physically wounded or psychologically
Yeah,
as well.
many of them are deeply injured, unfortunately, especially psychologically.
Just a question about the title of the world. It's since the world is as blue as an orange. It's from a plusieurs poem, and I wondered why that. Because is it because it's such an incongruous, a sort of image that you don't understand quite what's going on, or is...
I remember the moment when I realized that I need to find some poetic title, some kind of a formula that could convey that sense of surreality, which I every time feel when I come to war zone with my fresh eyes. And, you know, people, civilians who used to live in this bizarre reality, they don't pay attention to many strange, weird details around them. But in fact, this reality is full of crossroads between parallel dimensions of war and peace. For example, talking about my film, there is a shot where we see two girls in beautiful dresses after the school prom, and they take selfie in front of their shelled school. And also you see military trucks behind them in the background. And they don't pay attention to these military trucks because it's something routine. But you know, this combination of youth, beauty, and also war is so weird. And unfortunately, this reality is full of this gloomy poetry, gloomy surrealism for me. So yeah, I was trying to find the proper title, and I borrowed this quote from Polylloire.
And I was also just going to ask you, do you see light at the end of the tunnel? Are you looking towards that light?
That is what I'm trying to do all the times. And actually every scene that I focus on in my films and writing, that is my attempt to rely on that hope that we still have this light. Because unfortunately, no one knows what is ahead of us. And the war is already going on for 9 years, and we don't know when it will be finished. But at the same time, it's really important to understand that we can't put our lives on standby, and we can't make plans for after the war times. We should live today. We should we should live fully today, and that's what I'm trying to do despite all the circumstances.
And your son, does he, I mean, does he experience things differently from you and his father?
You know, he's 12, and 9 years of this 12 he lived during the war times. So the war is something so normal for him. And that is also scary, because children who grew up in the times of war, they don't know the other reality. But I mean, it affects them, and it changes them on different levels, including very subtle ones. And unfortunately, it's happening like that. But at the same time, I see that these children, they are still children, and they try to enjoy life despite everything. So when I have shot The Earth is Blue and Orange, that was also one of my goals, to show that all these children, they are still normal children, but in abnormal circumstances.
And can we see your film, the new film, the rock paper grenade film?
I hope so. It just started its festival life, and my producers work on applying it to different festivals. So I really hope that viewers in other countries will have this chance.
It's a bit too soon for it to be on Tackflix.
Too soon, but
We'll see it.
We should wait a little bit.
And as you've done that film, have you got a project for another one already, or?
Yeah, I'm working on the script of my new film. It will be animated documentary about myself, about my family and friends, and my personal experience of coping with these war times, because I want to talk about many things. And the working title of this film is Red Zone. And
you've got
we'll
an artist or an animator.
Sorry?
You've already chosen an artist or an animator to work with, or?
Not yet. We are still looking for partners, co-partners, probably in Europe, and we'll see. But I hope this could be quite a bright project.
Sounds good. Anyway, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm glad we connected in the end.
Yeah.
And let's stay in touch.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye-bye.